Hi, I am Rochella Dravis. I am sitting here at Bent Oak Books here in Fort Madison. So I'm getting ready to explain the reset and return, a potential kit that you might have with items that look familiar. And you would want to make sure that you watch part one, because part one is what comes before that. Before you ever get to any of these items, you want to understand the brain states first. So if you haven't watched that, I highly suggest go back to part one. And so now come along with me and let's investigate, let's explore the kit that you have in front of you. Definitely add your own items to the things that you might already have that was given to you, and now add to that your favorite things. So let me start first with the best thing for the nervous system is using your large muscles. And so taking a deep, curious breath is using your large muscles, using your diaphragm. And who teaches kids how to use their diaphragm? Probably nobody until they get into music class. And so you would be carrying that over from music class and saying, hey, remember what you were taught in music or in band? But if you've got younger kiddos, that might not be addressed yet. So you definitely want to take a deep, curious breath. This is not something, let me revisit that. This is not a toy. This is a tool. And that's how I always described it to my kiddos. So you're not going to see a kiddo in my classroom just going like this, because that's going to want a hyperventilation, and you don't want that. So it's really important that you demonstrate all of this before you let students explore. Think a bit about this just like you do science, and they're going to explore something in the world around them. So I start by, let's take a deep breath, and we're going to hold it for 2 seconds, and then we're going to exhale. So let's take a deep breath together. I normally do it 3 times. So let's breathe in through our nose, hold it, and then breathe out through our mouth. So now on the 3rd time, I want to remind my kiddos that this time, instead of paying attention to the sphere here, pay attention to your diaphragm and what happens. So breathe in. And depending on what energy the kiddos bring, and before we're doing this, sometimes that breathing out, that exhale, I might tell them or demonstrate to them there are different ways to exhale. There's the exhale that we just did. There's one where you can do horse lips. There's ones where you can sigh it out. There are an abundance of ways that you can do the exhale. So it's really about knowing your kiddos and what kind of an exhale you want to do in that moment. Because if you remember my quote from earlier in the first one, my favorite quote, does my nervous system have enough space for you and I in this moment? And breathing does that for me. And I even ask my kiddos to remind me, hey, Mrs. Dravis, take a deep, curious breath. And that helps to slow me down. So the next thing I want to show are the water wheels or the lava lamp. And so remember, these are tools, not toys. Sometimes kiddos need a visual. They need something for their eyes to set on. That's something that would ground them with their eyes. Instead of using their feet to ground them, they're using their eyes to ground them. And what I tell to the kiddos, this isn't for someone to just, oh, this is mine to use, and I'm going to set it right next to me. You want to share your energy. So I'm going to go get maybe one of the things, and I'm going to set it on maybe if we're sitting in a table where we're sitting as a group. The table has 4 people at it, or 2, even just as 1. And so then what I do is I tell the kids that when your eyes need something to focus on, and you notice that the lava lamp has gone down, or the water wheel, has stopped and it needs to be turned, just very quietly, nonchalant, you want to do these things where really nobody notices that you're doing them. And so you just turn it so that your eyes can help you focus. The one nice thing about the water wheel is this is timed. One nice thing about this is timed. So if you're wanting something that's maybe a 2-minute focus, you can get water wheels and lava lamps that go more than the 2 minutes. They do the 3, 4, and there are some that are even the 5. So this is about focusing and helping them to get to a place where they can reset. And the whole point is to return to learning. So we'll move those. And the next thing I want to show you is the pinwheel. So you're thinking, okay, here we go, a toy again. No, this is a tool. And you want to let the kiddos know that this tool helps them with their diaphragm. It helps them to learn how to take that deep, curious breath if you're using the sphere here. And so what you want to do is the same thing. You breathe in through your nose, hold it, and then you exhale. But this time on your exhale, you want to make sure that you get the pinwheel to move. And that's how you build that endurance in that large muscle for their diaphragm. So I'll do this once. And then obviously there are pinwheels that work a little bit better than some others. So you just want to make sure that you have a pinwheel. And maybe you have 2 of them. I have another one in the box just in case if this one gets flattened in a way where it doesn't work very well. When I'm showing the kids how to do this, I use the other one with another student to help me demonstrate. And what I'm asking them to do, can you blow out and exhale and keep that pinwheel going longer than I can? And so that is one of my strategies that I use to help them in understanding that inhale, that hold, and then that exhale, and how important that is. So the next item that I'm going to show you is more of what we call a push-up. So you can maybe place a couple sticker hands on a wall or on the door, or maybe you put them on the floor. Use your imagination on how to use this. So we're going to use our big muscles again, but the big muscles we're going to use this time are going to be our arms. And maybe I don't even want the kiddos, or maybe a kiddo doesn't want to get up, because a lot of kiddos don't like that attention brought to them. So maybe they're just doing it at their seat, and they're just doing it very calmly. And so they would just bring them in like you're pulling down, and then push them out, but you're resisting to use your large muscles. Using the large muscles is a way to regulate. You can do it, like I said, on the wall, on the floor. Push-ups are a way to do that also. And you don't even have to have the hands that you put out or put in front of you. I always had those by my door. I don't know why I put it by the door, but that's where I tended to do my stickers and put them. So the next one is the brain noodles. So these are something that are replicating the petting of their favorite animal. So maybe they have a dog at home, maybe they have a cat at home. And we think about our service animals, and what do kids do when they first see a service animal? They want to pet that service animal. But some of us don't have that privilege of having service animals maybe in our classroom or even in our buildings. And so what this is replicating is the softness of petting something. So think of it that way. If I just give this to a kiddo, what's going to end up happening is it's going to be used as a toy. And then it's going to end up maybe, being destroyed in a way. So you definitely want to model these first and give the reason why. I love this one though because it's more of a fur feeling, but I will have to tell you it's not holding up as well as what I would have liked for it to. So that's the brain noodle. Then you have these chair bands. And you put these around the bottom of the legs of the front of the chair. Now, these aren't for the kids just to bounce on. Remember, these are tools, not toys. But what they do is putting them on the bottom of the chair, the kiddos put their feet behind them, and again, it's using the big muscles. So this time it's going to be the legs that we're going to use. And you want to make sure to explain to the kiddos, this is using the large muscles. We're going to use our breathing while we do this too. And so they put their feet behind, and then you ask them to push out. And sometimes that's not as easy, but you want them to do it slowly. It's the inhale, hold, and then it's the exhale. So we're going to inhale and push our feet out, and then exhale slowly and bring it back to a neutral. And then you can do the same thing by asking the kids to put their feet on the outside. And this time they're going to use their heels. And it's the same thing. We're going to use our large muscles, our legs, and we're going to use our breathing. So we're going to push back with our heels and inhale. All the time we are resisting also with our legs. And that helps us use our large muscles. The other one is a band. This is just like an exercise band. So we can do the same type of thing, but this time you can use your hands, and you're going to use your arms as your large muscles. Same thing, breathe in through your nose, hold it, and exhale. And it's all about the resisting when you're doing that too. Otherwise, they're just going to sit and go like this. And that's not what we want. So you definitely, I know I've already said this, but you definitely want to demonstrate before you let them explore. So now I'm going to move to items. We have these silicone sponges. And so these are prickly. And so there are kiddos that like to have different feels when they are wanting to regulate their nervous system. So this could be something that you can do. You have calming strips. These are a little bit softer. These have a little bit more of a rough texture, like pebbles. And then you also have these finger rings. These are prickly. So the kids have to be able to explore these to know what it is that helps calm their nervous system. There are some kids that don't like to be touched. So doing this type of a thing would not be something that they would choose to help them calm down their nervous system. And so then you also have a maze in there. The maze, again, is very, very soft, but it has a marble in it. And so the kids can use the marble and just move it around in here. And what that is doing, it's not a toy, it's not them playing, it's them understanding that their brain state is in a place and it's not in the prefrontal cortex. And for them to do their best learning and problem solving, their brain state, they need to be in their prefrontal cortex. So if I can seriously just take my hands over something soft, if I can take putty and just manipulate it in my hand, and that calms my nervous system, why wouldn't I want to do that and have that available for my kiddos? Another thing here is another visual, but this also has texture to it. And so it has some glitter in it, so it helps the kids. They can focus their eyes. The eyes are really important for helping to ground a kiddo. We don't really know that, and we don't talk about that a lot. When we talk about grounding, we think about grounding with our feet, with our chair, feeling the back of my legs on the chair. But your eyes can also help in grounding you and kiddos. And you'll see one of my favorite quotes has to do with the eyes, but that's for a different part. And so another thing that I carry with me is a fidget coil, and it's a tangle. And one of the things, some of the tangles, the tangle themselves, that brand name, aren't meant to be pulled apart, but now they're starting to make tangles that are meant to be pulled apart. So you want to make sure you know what kind you have, because sometimes when you pull them apart, it breaks the end of it, and then they don't go back together. So make sure that the kiddos understand. Some tangles can pull apart, and some tangles cannot. And so then the last thing that I want to share with you is that you want to give kids time to explore. take 15 minutes of the day and schedule 5 kiddos. They get 5 minutes each to explore your reset and return items, your reset and return tools. And what you want the kids to get to is you want them to be able to say, hey, Mrs. Dravis, I really felt like watching the sparkles and the stars in this really grounded me and it reset. It was able to take me out of my survival brain, moves me up to my limbic, and then it got me to my prefrontal cortex. That is your ultimate goal, is to help kids understand they can move their brain states. They can move out of survival, they can move into the limbic, and then that gets them to the prefrontal cortex. And by exploring these things, they get to decide, what are my go-tos? So then maybe a kiddo comes in and they're dysregulated. I'm not going to call them out. I'm not going to say, hey, you are dysregulated. Go find the reset and return items. I don't want to do that. I don't want to call them out. But maybe I go up to them privately and I try to have a conversation, just a very short and brief. And then I would ask them, what were your go-to items? Do you just want to get one and just put it at your desk, put it on top? Do you want to grab 2 and put it at your desk and just put it on top? And then I would gently remind them, remember, these are tools, not toys. And I'm going to use it to reset and return to my learning.